some forward folds from Sukhasana here once we get started. I tried it on a block and I did not like it on a block. It feels really nice to set up on a block right now, but forward folding just was like creating weird sensations. Of course, welcome to try it still sitting on the block if it feels right for you. If it is something that doesn't feel comfortable, then we'll just take the blocks aside. As we start to create a little bit more movement in the beginning of the practice, and we will see what we get to from there. All right. So welcome everybody here, everybody online, everybody who might be watching this later. Let's see, we're all doing the other side of the holiday. So nothing's really shifting here with the schedule. Probably nothing really big changing until July 4th weekend. Or July 4th itself, when there may be some different stuff happening that day at the studio. But until then, Mondays and Wednesdays for me, schedule's pretty typical or usual. This is also a time of year where vacations start to happen a little bit more consistently, and so there may be some opportunities for all the teachers to hop around to other days and times as needed. So let yourself find your comfortable seat. You've been seated like this for a little bit. You can move flush away from the sit bones if that feels right or better. We'll switch the cross of the legs in a little bit, but if you'd like to do that now, you're welcome to also. And either with the cross at the ankles or the shins, or maybe the feet just slightly in front of each other. Allow yourself to move a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right. Feel yourself, without pushing down with your hands, making your knees heavier or pushing to the floor, at the same time that you are also trying to hug knees into the body. And hands can rest palms down if you would like to on the thighs or the knees, with some intention here in giving more support to that downward energy, giving a little bit more of a reactionary lifting and lengthening through the spine. Let your breath be full, belly expanding, chest expanding, and chest contracting, then belly contracting. In through the nose and out through the mouth as we get started here. If you're familiar with Ujjayi breathing, after we initiate the practice here together in this seat, you are welcome to make use of Ujjayi breathing throughout the practice, through certain portions of the practice. If the season doesn't allow it for you, then you'll just find your even and steady breath. Let your next two inhales be kind of exaggerative, if that's a word. So the belly really expanding. Feel the shoulders like lifting to the ears, almost lengthening more out through the crown of the head. And as you make yourself bigger just with the breath, try to maintain that same space, even as the exhale begins and everything tries to contract or draw inward. And with the next in-breath here, if you would like to, you can bring your hands to heart center. Hands pressing into each other as the shoulders settle down the back. As the heart lifts here to meet the thumbs and we lengthen out through the crown of the head. Nice full breath in again. Just before the exhale, make that contraction through the core, drawing belly button in and up ever so slightly. For more intentional out-breath, and maintain that same contraction for the next in-breath. One more round like that, and we'll begin with the sound of one Om. You can join or listen. Nice full breath in. Releasing your hands to your lap. either choosing to stay seated up on whatever you might be, or coming off your block, or giving it a try the first time and making a change for the second. But on the inhale, we're going to root down intentionally here through the sit bones as we reach and lengthen up toward the sky. And as the shoulders move down the back, hug thumbs toward each other to find a little bit more broadness across the upper back. And on the exhale, either, right, bring the hands down immediately and walk yourself forward for more support, or using the strength of the torso, strong here through the core, start hinging forward, finding that space where you want to fall off the block or the sit bones really want to lift. Let the hands come down to the floor. Push the hands down and away to start. And then with the finger pads gripping the mat, maybe the palms gripping the mat, hug them back toward the shins and the knees as you reach your heart forward. And keeping a little bit of lift here through the heart, continue to walk the hands forward, thinking a little bit more of belly to spine, not necessarily a cat stretch, but depending on how far you get in your own body, it will start to round. And just notice how it is to, rather than having the head drop, taking your gaze to the thumbs, or maybe a little further still. So we're putting more space between the chest and the chin, being mindful about how that feels on the neck, partly because we'll play a little bit here with knees, chest, chin through the practice here today. We're going to find this sensation in some different ways. Good. On the inhale, start to walk the hands back in. Maybe even leaning back, bring the hands back behind you, switching the cross of the legs. Other thing I notice is that this side feels really weird in what it does. This is also parts that felt strange. So we're gonna do the same thing, just with a different side to feel. And inhale to reach up as you ground down. Same thing, either bring the hands down right away to give you support to walk forward, or using the strength of the body, keep lifting through the heart as you start to hinge forward. Notice where that stopping point is. Let the hands find the floor. The hands push down and away to reground the sit bones. Then hands press down and hug back toward the shins to lift through the heart. And we start to walk the hands a little bit further forward here still. And trying to keep your gaze more up toward the thumbs, not necessarily fully forward, just to see how that feels through the neck. I'm just going to close the door here so the air conditioning stays in. And this is the second time. It feels like there's a little bit more space to walk yourself forward. Allow yourself to lengthen or to grow into the posture, into the stretch. And on your next inhale, start to walk the hands back in. Right? Yes. Come more upright. And on your next in-breath, we're going to walk ourselves either over our shins or taking both feet off to one side, however you would like to come into a tabletop position. Finding this groundedness with the hands here once again. With the knees, toes can be tucked or untucked if you would like to. We will be stepping back into plank here in a little bit. So both feet tucked is just a natural transition into that. But with shoulders a little bit more over the wrists and thumbs and forefingers hugging into each other and finger pads gripping. Lengthen through the fingers as you reach the sit bones back and the shoulders forward. And on your next inhale, sending the heart forward, crown of the head up, sit bones lift, cow stretch. And on the exhale, round the back, let the shoulders move toward the ears and tuck the tailbone a little bit more than we typically would. And moving with your breath, either letting the motion initiate from the spine, if that feels right for your body and where you are today, or as you make the transition between cat and cow, hands and knees hug toward each other to pull yourself into cow stretch, and hands and knees push away from each other to come into cat stretch. And you can try that 1 or 2 times, each of those ways if you would like to, just to notice what differences may be there or not. Good. And the next time you find yourself in your cat stretch, we're going to inhale here back to neutral. For those of you who would like to be more supportive in your plank pose, we're going to untuck the toes to come onto the tops of the feet. This is just a way that I like to measure it out. And then as I tuck the toes, I take the knee back to roll over, take the other knee back to roll over the toes for supported plank, or once you do so, lifting the knees if you would like to, your choice. But we're pushing down into the floor here still and letting the shoulder blades come apart like you're trying to push yourself away from the floor. The very top of a push-up where the shoulder blades come apart. Good. On the exhale, much more subtle movement. Hug the shoulder blades onto the center to push the heart or melt the heart a little bit more forward and down. For plank. And then on the next exhale, we'll all drop knees to the floor, untuck the toes, push sit bones back toward the heels for Balasana. And you can stack the forearms for the head to rest. We'll just be here for 3 breaths. But press the hands down and feel the outer shoulders and the outer parts of the armpits lift away from the floor and wide as the hands hug toward each other. Then we're going to push the hands down and away from each other to move shoulder blades closer. As we push into the tops of the feet, start to lift your hips, come forward as if you're coming back into a tabletop position. And as you find yourself in table, start to pull the heart forward, look up, let the shoulder blades move down the back, let the hips start to get heavy, and we're going to lower into Cobra pose. And if this does not feel comfortable, come down to Pranam and come back up to Cobra in the way that we typically do. But with shoulders hugging towards center and heart pushing forward, rise up to your Cobra. Good. The tops of the feet heavy, pinky toes especially. More leverage and more lift. Exhale to come down to the floor. Tuck the toes, either lift through table or lift the knees and rise up through plank to make your way back to a down dog for all of us. And in your down dog, thumbs and forefingers keep hugging toward each other on the same hands. Length of the fingers are grounded, almost like you could get very light at the very base of your palm without changing the shape or the effort in the pose. And we'll be here for 3 breaths, either letting this be a full stretch through the back body, or if you would like to take some 3-legged dogs and some 3-legged dog hip openers, move with your breath. And for those of you who are not doing the 3-legged things and do not want to be in down dog endlessly, on your next exhale, you can start to walk to the top of your mat. And those of you who are playing with 3-legged variations, also pause in your down dog, step, hop, jump forward if you would like to, for your forward fold. Feet hips width distance, maybe closer if you would like to. With more weight in the hands and more weight in the balls of the feet, push the inner thighs back, find that contraction through the core once again, to pull yourself into the forward fold rather than just letting gravity draw you down into it. Without the feet really moving, push the ankles apart. Send the inner thighs back. Find a little bit more broadness through the sit bones. Maybe you notice it as well through the low back. Maybe that openness gives you an opportunity to fold in deeper still. And as we move through the practice, you are welcome to take any deeper variations of Uttanasana that feel right for you in the moment and that come from a place of awareness and strength for you. And if you have the hands anywhere else besides in front of you, walk the hands forward once again. And with both second toes pointing forward, start to bend the knees deeply, keeping belly and thigh connected for a modified chair pose. Good. Maybe staying here for another breath or two, maybe reaching the arms forward to the front of the room as you sit back a little deeper to counterbalance. Maybe here for the final breath, pushing down through the feet as you stay low in the chair, but rise up through the torso. Good. And notice what is the right amount of contraction here for you for the core. Either we're butt is sticking out and we're like in this back bend shape, or we're doing this too much and the sit bones actually come underneath. We want to find just the right space in the middle. For some reason I was talking about the 3 bears this weekend, and too hot, too cold, just right. Inhale, rise up. Same thing. Where is the space that is not this, but is lengthened through the spine? Good. So I'll move through Sun Salutation B. Thank you everyone for standing up as I started talking about the bears, because I totally got off my topic here. Inhale to reach up. Good, a little thing different we'll do here with Sun Salutation B. Listen for the cues if you would like to. On the exhale, sit back and down into the chair, staying more upright, or noticing for yourself how it is to start upright, and then to bring belly to thighs and lower into a deeper chair. Lower hands down to the floor. Next, inhale, lift sit bones as you lengthen the legs. Then inhale, come onto fingertips. Step one foot back and then the other. For plank pose, again, you can lower knees if you would like to. On the exhale, if you have knees down, you can take chaturanga. If you have knees down, you can come all the way to the floor for pranam, your choice. On your exhale, choose low push-up or to the floor. If you're on the floor, you'll come up into cobra. If you're in low push-up, chaturanga dandasana, you can rise up to up dog. And either way is heart forward, shoulders rolling more toward the back. Good. Exhale back to chaturanga or the floor. Here's the difference. Press down through the left foot, lift the right leg. Push up from 3-legged low plank to 3-legged plank to 3-legged dog. One full breath reaching out through the heel in your 3-legged dog. And on the next exhale, that right leg is going to take a big step forward or many steps forward for crescent lunge. On the inhale, rise up, just one breath. Exhale to settle. Inhale to lengthen, and exhale to come out. Step back to 3-legged plank or 3-legged down dog. Good. If you're in 3-legged down dog, you're going to push forward back to 3-legged plank with that right leg maybe still lifting, and exhale, lower chaturanga dandasana or to the floor. Both feet find the floor as you rise up for another cobra or up dog. Good. On the exhale, back down to the start. Ball, the right foot is grounded, left leg lifts, rise up through 3-legged plank, back to 3-legged down dog with one full breath in here, pushing out through the left heel. And on the next exhale, big step forward, or however many you need to find your crescent lunge. Inhale, rise up. Exhale to settle. Get deeper in that front knee as that back heel pushes away. Inhale. Next exhale, frame it out. Step back, either down dog, 3-legged down dog, 3-legged plank. You can bypass the last part here, going to the floor, and give yourself a rest in table or child's pose. Exhale, lower down, 3-legged. Inhale, back bend. Exhale. And next inhale, both feet stay on the floor. Press back to a down dog. Check in with your breath. Check in with your shoulders. Check in with your feet. And on the next exhale, walk, step, hopper, jump to the top of your mat. Uttanasana. In your Uttanasana here, bend the knees deeply, really low and deep chair, maybe a more strength-based deep chair with the hands reaching forward, maybe even more strength here as you stand down through the feet to lift through the torso, trying to stay deep in the chair even as you start to come up. Nice, everybody. On the inhales, push down through the feet to get tall. Hook the thumbs, turn palms toward the front of the room. Try pulling the hands apart. And as we press into the heels and push them away from each other, send the inner thighs back. Find that contraction through the core and lift through the heart, either a very small back bend or deepening it as the hips keep pushing forward, the inner thighs keep pushing back, and the heart keeps lifting. Good. Use your next in-breath to rise up. Release the hands down by your sides. Pause for just 3 breaths. Some things for us to play with in just a second. Good. So if you would like to, we're playing with some jumping back today, which is what we're going to be doing coming out of like crow pose as possibilities. But also for some other things here later in the practice in building core strength here. And so block either on its lowest setting or medium setting, or maybe not a setting at all if you don't need it. Higher setting gets to be a little bit more wobbly though. On the inhale, reach up, and on the exhale, sit back and down into the chair. Bring hands to the blocks here in your chair. With more weight into the hands and into the blocks, start to lift the heels away from the floor. So you start sending the knees forward. You can start to bend them even more deeply and let sit bones slowly come toward the heels. But keeping the knees hugging to the torso, can you put all your weight into both hands and the left foot and hug right heel to right sit bone? Good. Bring that right foot down. Inhale, left heel to left sit bone. Bring that down. Inhale, right heel to right sit bone. Keep it there. On the next inhale, left heel to left sit bone. Keep it there. Exhale, come back down. And fold in. We'll have lots of more opportunities to play with some different things with that, so just a thing to check out. And if you're curious, getting here to a place where we are both heels hugging to sit bones, we start to pitch forward as we shoot the legs back. Lots of core, lots of lifting through the inner thighs when we're doing that through some other pieces of the practice. So if you want to give that a go, try this first time, you can. If you do not want to, place the blocks to your side, and we're going to step back to a down dog. But if you would like to, find that deep seat once again with knees to chest. Push into the blocks so there's some lift here between you and the floor. Hug one or both heels towards sit bones. Then we start to pitch forward ever so slightly as we shoot the legs back. And notice what it takes to shoot legs back. Yes, it takes a lot. Good. Come into a tabletop position. Nice. Some fire things coming up for the next month. Setting up here for some cat-cow stretches. You can stay here in cat-cow stretches if knees, chest, chin is not right for you. It is a pretty deep back bend. I'll give us all, it's not one that gets taught here quite a bit. When I say knees, chest, chin, is everyone kind of familiar, has an idea about what that is? All right. So for some places, they talk about it as a replacement to chaturanga. There's a lot of different things happening that are not actually chaturanga-like, or the things that we want chaturanga to do. So we were playing here at first, we're thinking about more space between the neck and the chin. But knees, chest, chin is exactly what it sounds like. In Sanskrit, it is Ashtanga Namaskar, or a salutation to the 8 limbs of yoga. So right now we have 4 things touching the floor, right? 2 hands, 2 feet. 6 things touching the floor, 2 knees, 2 hands, 2 feet. We start to pull ourselves forward, the hips stay lifted, we bring chest to the floor, chin to the floor, 8 points of connection here. One of the things we want to look out for is shoulders collapsing forward, not what we're looking for. We want elbows hugging to center and reaching back toward the hips so we have a little bit of a back bend shape here, even as we find ourselves in knees, chest, chin. You can unfurl out of that and rise up into cobra if you would like to. If that feels too deep, give yourself a couple of extra breaths with cat-cow. And when I give the cue for some people to move from knees, chest, chin into cobra, you can move from your tabletop into cobra like we did last time with lowering down into it instead of coming down and rising up, all right? So if you know that you're going to hang out and do tabletop for a bit longer and play with cat-cow stretches, do so. If you want to take a round of cat-cow stretch for anyone who wants to move further, just to be good and warm through the shoulders and chest area, do so, upper back area as well. And then if you're moving into knees, chest, chin here with me, come back to neutral through your table. Knees press down, ball mounds of the feet press down. We start to bend the elbows as we pull ourselves forward. Keep the hips lifting now like you're trying to hug knees to chest. We were doing that when we were trying to find balance in our arm balance. Keep that knees to chest sensation as you lower heart toward the floor. You can have nose touching the floor is fine. Chin touching the floor with your gaze forward is a fuller expression. But if it's not right for your body, then it doesn't matter if it's a fuller expression or not. Good, everyone's giving it a go. On the inhale, if you would like to, come onto the tops of the feet, inch forward, and rise up into a cobra. Nice, everyone. Exhale, back down to the floor. Inhale, press yourself back up to down dog. Here in your down dog, inhale, right leg to the sky. Good. On the exhale, we're going to take a big step forward and wide of that right hand for a lizard lunge. Let the back knee find the floor. If anybody was ever thinking, how can I make lizard even more? We've got our blocks. You can place your block to the outside of the hand. Place the foot onto the block. Try to still bring hands to the floor. It's going to give us a much deeper stretch through the inner right thigh. If that doesn't feel comfortable, back out of it. If it doesn't feel comfortable as we move into a little bit of balance here, come out of it. Good. Push down through the hands. Push out through the left heel to lift the left knee. Feel that outer left hip lifting as the right sit bone tucks under a little bit more intentionally toward that right heel. And if there is something more that you would like to do in addition to this, we're going to walk our hands back so our fingers are a little bit further back behind the heel. You're going to walk your right hand wide. You're going to walk your left hand wide. Some of us already know where this is going. Lift right arm away from the floor. That's going to pull you in deeper still, knees to chest. Turn the palm upright, bend the elbow, and bring the back of the palm to the outer hip or to the low back. This is where it feels awkward, and so if you need to come off the block, don't go further. Otherwise, come onto the left fingertips, maybe lift left hand into the air. Maybe left palm turns to the sky and elbow bends. Both hands rest on the low back or on the outer hips. Feet hug toward each other, inner thighs hug toward each other for support. Inhale as you're ready to come out of it. Good. Bring that right foot off the block. Take a big step back to down dog. Just notice how right side feels compared to left side, especially if you took that much deeper stretch through the legs using the block. We get to do that on the second side, and there are also plenty of reasons to do it differently on the second side. Check in with your body, and on the next inhale, send your left leg up and back. On the exhale, take a big step to the outer part of the left hand. Let your right knee find the floor to start. Staying here and giving yourself a chance just to check in. How does this feel? Maybe place a block there on the left side of your mat. Bring the left foot onto the block. Depending on how your feet are, you might turn your feet just a little bit wide, which is a thing that we do to create more openness anyway. But we want the heel, at least, and the ball of the foot connected to the floor, or to the block, which is connected to the floor. Good. Putting more weight into the hands, push out through the right heel, lift from the inner right thigh. Pausing here, maybe walking the hands back so both fingertips are just behind the line of the left heel. Then left hand walks underneath the left leg and wide, right hand walks off the mat and wide. Maybe left palm lifts, pulls you in, palm spins up, elbow bends. Find the low back, the outer hips, wherever it might be. Maybe come onto right fingertips as you hug thighs together and feet together. Maybe right hand comes away from the floor. Maybe palm spins up and elbow bends to rest in the left palm or the right side of the low back. Nice. Good. Inhale, slowly with control, bring hands back to the floor. Lower back down, remove the block. And from our tabletop here, we're all going to come right down to the floor and come to roll on our backs. Almost setting up like bridge pose. We're actually going to do bridge pose kind of early here in just a little bit. Some people may choose to move into shoulder stand if you would like to, but we're not there just yet. On your next exhale, draw both knees to chest. Give yourself a nice big hug. Even if the knees have to move wider, we're still trying to hug shins and knees towards the floor. Now we're going to keep right knee hugging into chest as you bring left foot to the floor. Then right knee starts to push wide. Right ankle, the actual like the bony part of the ankle, pressing into the middle of your thigh or just to the outside of your thigh if you would like to. And one hand can stay resting on the heart or the belly, or you can come into cactus arms, your choice. On the exhale, we're going to let both knees settle to the left, bring the right foot fully to the floor on the left side. So we're in a little bit of a figure four twist here. If you need to keep that right foot on the floor, do so, and you're going to take right hand to the inner right knee. And as the right knee hugs into the hand, the left hand, is pushing the right knee away from you. If you feel pretty open here through the hips, we can let the right foot float just a little bit away from the floor, so it's really the ankle to thigh connection on the left there. And just using muscular energy here, push the right knee, the right shin away from the chest, almost like you're trying to lower the right knee over the left ankle, like in Agni Stambhasana. Just notice how that feels through the front of the right hip. If you'd like a little bit more stretch there rather than cactus arms, you can reach your right arm overhead, bicep alongside the ear, putting more space between the fingers and the shoulders, the shoulder and the right hip. And with your next exhale, let the depth of that hip opening on the right happen. Then lift left knee away from the floor. Figure four, release right foot to the floor. Give yourself a rest there. If you would like to move right into the next side right away, draw both knees into chest. Give yourself the extra breath if you need to. Nice big hug, wider through the knees if that makes this more accessible for you. Then we're going to keep hugging left knee to chest, right foot finds the floor. Left knee opens out to the left, swings out to the left, so there's external rotation happening. Ankle to thigh, the bony part of the ankle to the thigh or just past it. And find your setup, arms, cactus arms, or out like a T. Hands on heart and belly if you would like to. And on the exhale, let the right knee and left foot settle off to the right. Again, if the right foot stays on the floor, no. If the left foot stays on the floor, right hand pushes into that inner knee to push away as the knee tries hugging in, so we're getting some stretch through the engagement of the hip on the left side. Or If the left foot is floating, I'm making air quotes because we've got it strongly connected to the knee or to the thigh, use muscle energy to push the left knee away from chest. And notice how that feels through the hip flexor, through the quad, through the low part of the abs here where your psoas comes through. And if you would like something deeper, reach left arm, bicep alongside the ear, lengthen, reach away from the left hip. Good, and on the next exhale, find your depth. The inhale that follows, the knees come back to center. Left hand comes back in place with the right. Both feet find the floor. And you can walk yourself in a little deeper here for bridge. Elbows alongside the body, fingers reaching to the sky. And as you push down through the upper arms, through the back of the head, through the shoulder blades, and through the feet, activate the glutes to push the hips higher to the sky. Keep hugging thighs to center. If you would like to, you can lengthen the arms, fingers reach toward the heels, press down through the palms so you have more support through the foundation to lift a little higher. Good. And actually, just looking at time here, we will skip shoulder stand, but we can return to it as a possibility for anyone who would like to at the end of your practice. Good. Exhale to lower down from your bridge. We're going to come up here into boat pose for some of us. If you would rather not do boat pose, the option that you have is to stay just as you are and come into a tabletop on your back. Draw knees over hips. Reach hands to the sky. I'll give some cues here, and you can come down from it, and anyone who would like to rise up into Navasana, you're welcome to. So with like your tabletop specific, like exactly tabletop, but on your back, press your hands into your thighs, like you're trying to push the thighs back toward the floor. In the quads, sorry, that's through the top of the thighs. So knees are hugging to chest at the same time the hands are trying to push away. This is core work. You will feel this. If this is the better option for you, that's what you'll do instead of boat pose. You can bring your feet back to the floor, give yourself a rest. If you're going to take that option, stay just as you are. If you would like to come into Navasana or boat pose, you're going to roll up and turn to face the front of the room. Sitting on your sit bones with your knees bent and your heels down in front of you. Oh, nobody wants to do the other one. All right, cool. Hands can be on thighs, hands can be behind you, hands can reach overhead. Heels press down, inner thighs hug to center. We keep doing both of those things as the heels hug to sit bones to give us a little more lift. Find that contraction through the core so the low back is lifting away from the floor. And as we draw knees to chest again, we're reaching heart forward to the front of the room. Good. Next, in breath, we're going to lift to bring the shins parallel to the floor. This might be a lot. You might start to notice the feet turn out or the heels turn out. Can you bring big toe ball mounds and knees to touch? Find neutral through the legs. Then maintain that through the feet as you take knees, hips width distance once again. Good. Stay here for a few more breaths if you would like to. If you would like to go further, as you push the heels away, let the inner thighs get heavy. Keep the heart lifting. Start to point through the toes. Good. One more thing, a little hint where we might end up later in practice. Start to reach the arms up so that they are parallel to the feet. I'm not measuring, just feel like it's parallel. Good. Keep reaching as the knees keep hugging in. On your next exhale, nice class. Knees bend, hands and feet find the floor. Nice big sigh. Also maybe an opportunity to check in. When did you stop doing Ujjayi breathing? Return to it whenever you would like to. Press through the hands, lift here through the heart. Good. Next, exhale. Let both knees settle to one side. Come back to a tabletop position. We're going to do a little something different coming into Gomukhasana or cow face posture. We'll see how this feels, but first, either with the toes tucked, we're going to sit back on the heels in Vajrasana, or if you would prefer like Virasana, where we're on the tops of the feet, ankles wide, sit down using a block. If the sit bones aren't finding the floor, do so. So usually for cow face posture, we start seated, legs extended, we draw ourselves in. One other option, depending on how this feels on the knees and the legs, will be to start from tabletop with the knees touching. We're going to send one leg back, knee crosses over, feet press wide, and like we're coming into child's pose, we start to sit the hips back toward the heels to sit back into Gomukhasana. If that is not right at all for your body, you'll start as we typically do, leg extended, knee crossing over, knee on top of knee, either staying half or full. All right, so different choices. If you've done the thing from tabletop before and you know it's not right for you, come to have a seat with your legs out long. Otherwise, coming into table here, rise out of your Vajrasana, out of your Virasana. Bring the knees and feet to touch. Let's see, so if we're taking right knee behind, it's going to be left knee on top. So if you're coming into it with legs long, you're going to draw the left knee in. Good. Keep the left knee right where it is. Take the right knee back. Let the right knee cross over into the outside of the left knee. Once both knees are on the floor, untuck the toes and take the feet wide. And start to push the hands down and away from you as they walk in. So you settle back. We should all have left knee on top. Is that right? Good. Pausing here. Let this be about the hip opener. If you would like some more and get into the upper body, on the inhale, reach both arms to the sky. As you reach up, even if you're not reaching up, knees are pressing to the floor and we're grounded through the sit bones. Left knee is on top, so we're going to bend left elbow. Right hand finds left elbow, pushes up as left hand or right hand pushes down. And we're not going to come into the full thing. If you would like to, go for it. Our focus here, though, is more stretch here on one side, and so trying to bring elbow and forearm in line with the spine without the head pushing forward. Good. Lift through the heart, engage through the core, find all of this length. Keep all of this length as you inhale, release the hands. If you're staying with legs extended, you can walk your hands to frame out that left foot and do the 360. You can use the hands to roll back over the knees, come back into a tabletop position. If you did the 360 and it got you into the right spot, awesome. If you need your legs extended, do so. This time, though, for people seated, it's going to be the right knee coming in to cross over. Otherwise, it is the left knee stepping back, crossing over behind the thigh into the outside of the right knee. Take both feet wide. As you walk the hands back, push yourself back. Good. Second side, let the focus here be more on the knees and on the hips. But if you would like to go further, as we push into the ground with the blade edges of the feet, we push down with the knees, reach up to the sky. Right knee is on top. This time we bend the right elbow. Left hand finds right elbow. It pushes down as elbow pushes up. And over the course of the next 2 or 3 breaths, maybe we start to walk elbow and forearm in line with the spine while the head keeps pushing back. That gives us the lift here through the heart. We have lift through the heart that gives us more control, more movement is possible through the low body. Good. Next, inhale, release the hands. Walk the hands forward, or however you would like to get out of this one. And then we're going to take maybe through down dog if you would like to, or step your right foot to the outside of the right hand, step your left foot to the outside of the left hand, Stay low in your malasana here, like half malasana, I should say. Some of us will come into full malasana, maybe just hanging out there to play with crow, as we've done in the past couple of weeks. If crow just does not feel right for you today, you can do this on your back as well. One other thing we have, where you start with like feet wider, because a long time ago someone told us so, right? There's something called Malasana 2 where the feet are touching. And so depending on how this feels in your body, rather than heels, hips with distance, you can heel toe the feet, or rather than mats with distance, you can try heel toeing the feet so you still have like this duck foot kind of thing happening, even with the heels underneath the sit bones and a little closer. And if you're doing so and you would like to sit down into your Malasana, notice how it is to feel the feet a little bit closer. Knees keep hugging to center even as the upper arms try pushing away. And if this is your place to explore, you can stay here just like this. You can bring hands to the floor. Spread the fingers wide. Have your pointer fingers either parallel or maybe even slightly wider than each other. And with more weight through the hands, start to lift through the heels. As you put more weight into the hands, start to lift the heels away from the floor, just like we were doing earlier. On the exhale, draw right heel to right sit bone. Pause. Put it down. Left heel to left sit bone. Pause for the breath. Notice what it takes to keep the knees hugging to the upper arms. Bring that left foot back to the floor. If you would like to, right heel hugs to sit bones. Right heel keeps hugging to sit bones. Lift the left heel. Maybe hug the left heel towards sit bones. Then we're going to push out through the heels, keep lifting through the inner thighs to jump back. I heard it. I heard it again. So there's a lot through the hands. Core is important. Pushing through the heels is important. Keeping the inner thighs lifting is important. Come out of it. Tabletop. One more opportunity here for knees, chest, chin if you would like to. We've done a lot of contraction through the core. There's still some of this, but knees, chest, chin is a little bit of a back bend in addition to all of these things. Feet are grounded, knees are grounded, hands are grounded. Start to come forward as you keep trying to hug knees to chest. So the hips are lifting away from the floor as you lower chest to the floor, maybe nose, maybe chin. Maybe it's chin this time and it wasn't last time. Maybe it's not chin this time. Hands are pressing down, elbows are reaching back. Keep the shoulders lifting rather than collapsing to the floor. And on the inhale, if you would like to, scooch forward or come out of it, your choice. And on your next in-breath or exhale from your back bends, come back down. Inhale, push back up to a tabletop. One thing here just to check in on the shoulders before we do our bigger thing with hips, our bigger thing maybe with an arm strength. In your table, we're going to lower down to forearms like forearm table. You can make a triangle shape here, interlace the fingers, tuck the pinky toes, or pinky fingers. You can have your arms parallel with a block or a block and a half between the L and the J of your thumb and fingers for support. Your choice. We're going to walk the knees and feet back for a forearm plank. And just because of time, either start here with your feet wide and knees bent as you walk into your dolphin pose, or keeping your knees and feet touching or hips width distance. Little bend to the knees for all of us as we start to walk our feet toward the top of our mats, as we keep pushing into the forearms, as we keep pushing into the outer edges of the palms, so that shoulders, chest, face is lifting away from the floor. And if you have the knees bent, we'll just be here for 3 more breaths, with the focus being on pushing out through the inner thighs, letting the heels be heavier, increasing the intensity of your dolphin. And on your next exhale, settle into the depth,
In the inhale that follows, start to walk the feet back once again to forearm plank. Let the knees find the floor one more time. And either crossing over at the shins or the ankles, or taking the feet to one side, hips to the other, we're going to come to have a seat with our legs extended out in front of us. Legs extended. Move flush away from the sit bones. If you would like to, you can have a seat up on something. Have your blocks beside you, lowest or medium setting. Good. This is just for the people who are following through to the very end. Draw both knees in a little bit. Bring the soles of the feet to touch as you take the knees wide. You might move the blocks wider away from you, not to have them perfectly set up here for Baddha Konasana, or bound angle pose. Thumbs alongside the fingers, take hold of the fronts of the ankles. Draw shoulder blades onto your back to pull yourself forward a little bit more upright, maybe even tilting forward a little bit. You might lean a little bit to the left to send the right sit bone wider and a little bit back. A little bit to the right to send the left sit bone back and wide. And you might stay here. If you would like to come into a forward fold, you're welcome to. But again, keeping in mind here, how do we draw ourselves in versus letting gravity push us in? So let it be active if you're going further. This is the place where some people might stay. We want knees to be heavy and opening, so we're having more openness here through the inner thighs, through the hips. And the forward fold will be your core work that's happening instead of the arm balance. So there's the extra piece. If you would like to move further and you're in your forward fold, back up. Keep your left heel right where it is. Is that true? How do I want to do this? However you want to. Left foot on top of right. Left ankle on top of right knee. Left knee on top of right ankle. Setting up here for Agni Stambhasana. Again, a place where some of us will choose to settle here for a bit. Another place where it's a deeper hip opening that's happening. Some other stuff is happening differently because the knees are closer. And you can also use core work to draw yourself forward and down, right? So find that little lift here through the heart. And if you'd like to stay here for the next several breaths, do so. Otherwise, moving once more, come upright from the forward fold. You're going to draw your left heel closer to the right hip. You're going to draw your right foot closer to the left sit bone. And now we make use of the blocks. We're in half Padmasana, half lotus. This bottom foot is going to become our kickstand, if you would like to. It's actually harder, I think, to lift both feet in Ardha Padmasana than it is in full Padmasana. Yes, so use that as a kickstand to start. You're going to notice how much more effort it is to start to lift your kickstand foot. It is easier when we're here like this, but we're not going to necessarily go that far unless it's part of your practice. If you know and love Padmasana, I'm never here to say don't do it. So with the hands pressing down, find the shoulders lifting way up toward the ears. Like, ugh, this is not what we typically do here in yoga classes. Keep the shoulders lifting, but start to bend the elbows so the shoulders can come down a little bit. And as you do so, find a little bit more length here through the spine. So as we start to push the arms towards straight without the shoulders lifting, right? So we want to lock them in place, sort of, in a way. As we lengthen the arms, the sit bones start to lift away from the floor. Maybe it's just both knees on the floor. Maybe we do all this core work on the right side to hug right knee to chest. Now we've got our left foot or right foot pushing down to give support on the left side. Notice all the effort that it takes to hug the right foot toward the outer left knee. Oh, good. Maybe that foot comes back down to give you support to lower down. Place your blocks off to the side. Bring your feet back to Baddha Konasana. Good, you can stay here for several breaths and choose to bypass or skip the Agni Sambhasana on the second side. You might want to stay here and not do any of the rest of the sequence. You can stop anywhere you would like to. So starting there from Baddha Konasana. Moving here now to right ankle over left knee. That's the opposite side, right? Good. Right knee over the left ankle. Both knees press down, both edges of the feet press down. You can allow yourself to come into the forward fold here if you would like to. You might choose to stay here. If you would like to go further and you're in your forward fold, with control, come up. Hug right heel closer into left hip. Hug left heel closer into right sit bone. Bring blocks to your side once again. Ground down through the sit bones, but push down through the hands. So shoulders lift to the ears. Then settle shoulders down the back by bending the elbows. And keeping the shoulders just as they are, start to push the arms towards straight to lift sit bones away from the floor. Then all the core work that's necessary to hug left knee to chest. A right foot turns into the kickstand, or that left foot turns into the kickstand on the right side. Play with this here if you would like to. Put more weight into the hands, more effort into the core, as now you start to draw and lift the left foot toward the right outer hip, right outer thigh. Good. Exhale to lower down. Place those off to the side. Extend your legs out. Shake them around. Hips and shoulders feeling all right? Got somewhere a little different maybe today? Cool. So, with the time that we got left, some of us will come into fish posture, Matsyasana. It's usually a counterbalance or counterpose to shoulder stand because we go from really deep with the chin to the chest, and then we counter it with the back of the head toward the floor. But we're going to come into Matsyasana or fish posture to come into something very similar to what we were doing in Navasana here. So on our backs, if you're coming into this, right, typically when I'm guiding us, we've got our hands underneath here to give us a lot of support, to come lift up, let the head tilt back, not fall back, but tilt back. Crown of the head finds the floor. This is usually where we stay. Options here for more though, if you would like to. We have to put even more effort into the hips, into the back body, and into the top of the head. As we do core work to lift shins towards the sky, and then reach hands towards the sky, trying to find parallel. I have no idea, but trying to find parallel here in flying fish. Then we come down on the hands to give ourselves more support as we lower the legs, as we come out for Shavasana, all right? If you would rather not do that, you can come into Viparita Karani, where we're just in an inversion here with a block underneath the sacrum, legs to the sky, hips are still elevated over the shoulders, and that can be your alternative. So if you would like to take Viparita Karani, get yourself set up with a block underneath, like on your back with a block underneath the sacrum. So you draw knees to chest, extend up through the heels. I should show that. To the sky. Hands can be pressing down and play with pointing and stretching the feet or making some nice ankle rolls. But if you would like to play with or try flying fish, come first into Tadasana on your back. We want the hands to still ground into the body, but we don't want them to be like tucked under, or we have to move to release them once we're in Matsyasana. So find what feels right for you. It could just be palms up, putting a lot of effort into the elbows. Push down into the arms to lift chest away from the floor. Tilt the chin to the sky. As soon as the crown of the head finds the floor, push into it. You'll find even more lift here around the neck and through the shoulders. Then with weight pressing down into the sit bones, start to lift legs away from the floor. Point the toes. Reach arms toward the toes, feeling ish into that space. A little bit of a back bend, a little bit of core work here, hugging knees in. Nice, everyone. Flying fish. Good. Everyone's been doing this for a long time. Awesome. When you're ready to come out, though, bring the arms down first so you can give some support to the lower part of the body. And as you're ready, come to lay out on your back for Shavasana. Adding, removing whatever you might like to. Letting Ujjayi breathing go totally. Just find an even and steady breath. So that as effort slows or lessens almost to nothing in the body, our breath just becomes its own entity doing what it's going to do here. It will slow and settle on its own. Let your next inhale be deeper than the last. And the inhale that follows deeper still, beginning to initiate little movements. As the breath is deeper, we wake up. As our body starts moving, we continue to wake up, and we are integrating all of our parts of ourselves back together. If you'd like to make some bigger movements, as you bring the legs to touch, reach the arms overhead, and inhale, stretch fingertips and toe tips away from each other. Exhale, press through the heels. Inhale, press through the toes. And on the next exhale, draw knees into chest. Apasana, happy baby, anything that feels right in this moment. And you can start rocking and rolling off to your side or rolling up to have a seat. Letting your hands rest where they may, with the knees still heavy. As we press down through the knees, we lift and get taller through the crown of the head. And maybe with hands resting on the thighs, we give ourselves that support for length by pushing down through the legs without pushing the body back into leaning back, but staying more upright if you're doing this. Or you can bring your hands to heart center, Anjali Mudra one more time. One more opportunity to join with me in the sound of one Om as we bring our practice to a close. Exhaling completely to inhale fully. Om. me bows to the light in each of you. Namaste.